Elizabeth got injured in an accident. She's on her way to the hospital in an ambulance right now.
My husband William called me suddenly, his voice panicked. William was supposed to be at work at that time. What? She got injured in an accident? Is it true?
Yes, it's true. She was riding her bicycle and got into an accident. Elizabeth keeps muttering incoherently. Come quickly. She keeps calling for Mom over and over.
My daughter Elizabeth was in the middle of her summer vacation. After having lunch, she went out on her bicycle to play with her friends. What? No way, Liz.
Liz? What? Oh.
The moment I mentioned Liz's name, William's previously frantic voice suddenly stopped. Then, unnaturally calm, he said,
Forget what I just said. Bye.
Without waiting for my response, he abruptly hung up the phone. I was concerned about William's attitude, but more than that, I could only think about Liz, who was supposedly injured. I rushed out of the house without even changing my clothes. At that moment, I bumped heads with someone running towards me from outside.
Ouch! Mom, if you rush like that, you'll get into an accident. I'm glad I was wearing my helmet.
There stood Liz, looking exactly the same as she did before she left. My name is Sophia, a 42-year-old part-time housewife. Feeling a bit out of shape after starting my career, I joined a tennis club for working adults, where I met William, who would later become my husband. I don't remember who spoke to whom first, but before I knew it, we were dating. Then, 1 year after we met.
Please marry me.
Yes, I will. William confessed his love with eyes shining like a boy's, and my heart was deeply moved. Nearly a year after our marriage, I gave birth to our first daughter, Elizabeth.
Look, Liz! Daddy's home!
William was so doting on his beloved daughter that it surprised me. Watching such scenes, I felt warm and reassured that marrying him was the right decision. When Liz started kindergarten, her friendly nature quickly earned her friends, and she would tell us about her day every day.
There's another girl named Elizabeth. She's very kind.
That's great. I hope you become even better friends.
Elizabeth, ha! Then she should be called Lizzie.
William laughed, feeling a sense of kinship. Stop it. If you keep calling her that, you might embarrass yourself someday.
If that happens, it would be funny.
William laughed heartily. Because they were friends, we quickly became close with Lizzie's parents as well.
Thank you for always taking care of our Lizzie. Let's continue to get along well.
Lizzie's parents were both friendly and cheerful. By the time 6 months had passed since we met, we were frequently visiting each other's homes and enjoying barbecues during long weekends. Lizzie's mother, Scarlett, was a member of the tennis club during her school days and had even participated in national tournaments. Scarlett had been curious ever since she heard William's name.
I thought the name sounded familiar. I've always admired him. I can't believe I'm meeting the famous William in this way. It's a miracle,
she said, her eyes sparkling. I didn't know because I had little connection to sports during my school days, but apparently, my husband was quite a celebrity in the student tennis world. Feeling good about being reminded of his past glory, William said,
How about we play together this weekend?
He made a gesture of swinging a racket. I'd love to see Scarlett play tennis too. I had grown quite comfortable with Scarlett, so I said that. Scarlett's husband, Sebastian, unfortunately, couldn't join us due to work, but he encouraged her.
It's a great opportunity, so go ahead.
Thus, we started inviting Scarlett to play tennis with us every weekend. Scarlett, having participated in national tournaments, kept up with William's agile movements, unlike me, who was just building stamina. Unable to keep up with their movements, I quickly got out of breath and rested on a bench. When William hit a powerful smash and won.
As expected of William. You are amazing.
Scarlett ran over and pressed a drink from the cooler against William's cheek. William exclaimed,
Cold!
in surprise, and Scarlett laughed heartily. An elderly couple passing by on a walk commented,
Look, dear. What a lovely couple.
Indeed. We had times like that too.
Looking at William and Scarlett, they reminisce about their younger days. It occurred to me that to a stranger, William and Scarlett might indeed look like a couple. Thinking that made me feel a bit gloomy. Whether he knew my feelings or not, William started going out to play tennis with Scarlett whenever they had time, even when I wasn't around. Did you go out with Scarlett again? If you had invited me, I would have gone too. Seeing William's tennis bag when he returned home, sweating pleasantly, I always found out afterward that they had gone to play tennis.
I thought you'd be tired from housework and your part-time job. I was trying to be considerate.
I tried to believe that this was his way of being kind. Before long, William and Scarlett started not only playing tennis together but also frequently going shopping and picking up the kids from kindergarten. Aren't you spending too much time with Scarlett lately? When I confronted William, he showed me a small, gift-wrapped accessory and said,
I was actually planning to give this to you on your birthday. I asked Scarlett for advice on what would make you happy.
He smiled innocently. Before we got married, William often planned surprises for me. Knowing that he still loved me as much as ever, I felt relieved. In the fall, the kindergarten held a play.
It's Liz's first performance. I need to make sure to record it properly.
William took a day off, and we went to the kindergarten together for the first time in a while. Sebastian was there at first, but soon tried to leave. Are you off to work? That must be tough. When I casually spoke to him, Sebastian looked uncomfortable and said,
Oh, well, yes, something like that.
He gave a vague answer and quickly walked away.
I'm sorry. He's been having a tough time at work lately and is always in a bad mood.
Scarlett apologized on his behalf. The play ended without incident, but from around this time, Sebastian started avoiding us. It feels like Sebastian is avoiding us. When I voiced my concern,
You're overthinking it. He's probably just preoccupied with work.
Scarlett said with a wry smile. Sebastian, who used to be friendly, had suddenly become cold, and I felt a bit lonely, but Scarlett didn't seem to mind much. We continued to interact with them, and when Liz entered elementary school, she suddenly said she wanted a bicycle.
Lizzie is getting one too.
Liz tugged on my apron and pleaded, while William, who was listening, folded his newspaper and said,
You should buy her a bicycle.
He was being lenient with our daughter. Really? You usually say not to give in to what the kids want right away.
Without a bicycle, it would be inconvenient for her to play with her friends. I'll buy it for her.
If you say so. I was a bit surprised, but I decided to trust William's kindness towards our daughter. On Sunday, William and Liz went to the store to buy a bicycle. When they came back, Liz was wearing a brand new pink helmet and kept looking at herself in the mirror.
Mom, I got the same one as Lizzie. Scarlett said this one suits me.
Was Scarlett with you too?
Well, yes.
William nodded awkwardly. By the time Liz was in 2nd grade, it became normal for her and Lizzie to go out on their bicycles together. Do your homework first.
I'll do it when I get back.
That was our daily conversation. During the summer vacation, we couldn't go anywhere because of William's work, but
I can play with Lizzie a lot.
Liz was happy, so it wasn't a problem. After lunch, Liz would ride her bicycle and go out, neglecting her summer homework. One evening, I received an urgent call from William.
Elizabeth got injured in an accident. She's on her way to the hospital in an ambulance right now.
What? She got injured in an accident? Is it true?
Yes, it's true. She was riding her bicycle and got into an accident. Elizabeth is muttering incoherently in the ambulance. Come quickly. She keeps calling for Mom over and over.
What? No way, Liz.
Liz? What? Oh.
William's previously frantic voice suddenly stopped. Then, unnaturally calm, he said,
Forget what I just said. Bye.
Without waiting for my response, he abruptly hung up the phone. I was concerned about William's attitude, but more than that, I could only think about Liz, who was supposedly injured. I rushed out of the house without even changing my clothes. At that moment, I bumped heads with someone running towards me from outside.
Ouch. Mom, if you rush like that, you'll get into an accident. I'm glad I was wearing my helmet.
There stood my daughter, looking exactly the same as before she left. Liz! Are you okay? Does anything hurt? Are you injured? I bombarded her with questions while checking her all over, as she sat on the ground from the impact. Liz, looking a bit ticklish, frowned and said,
I'm fine. But are you okay, Mom? Did you get hurt?
William just called and said you got into a bicycle accident.
What? I don't know anything about that.
Liz looked genuinely clueless, staring back at me with wide eyes and an open mouth. He said you were on your way to the hospital in an ambulance. I just got the call from William.
That's a lie. I'm perfectly fine. Look.
Liz brushed the dirt off her pants and spun around to show me. Indeed, Liz didn't seem to have any injuries. Was it a mistake? Was I dreaming? But when I checked my phone's call history, there was definitely a call from William 10 minutes ago. And he did say something strange before hanging up. Forget what I just said. I called William back, and after a few rings, he answered in a heavy voice.
Hello.
William, Liz is fine. She's home now and doesn't seem injured at all. What's going on? What was that call about?
That call. It was nothing. Forget about it. Ha ha.
He tried to laugh it off, but I could hear a lot of people talking urgently in the background.
We need to check for any brain abnormalities. Hurry!
Yes, doctor!
Is it really nothing? I can hear.
It's the TV. Watching medical dramas while working has become a trend at my office. I'm busy. I have to go.
With that, William hung up before I could say anything else. How could he be so busy yet have time to watch TV dramas? I tried calling him back several times, but his phone was turned off. It had gotten completely dark, and just as I was about to reheat the soup for dinner, William called.
Sorry, I won't be able to come home tonight. I have to stay over at work.
Okay. I nodded and hung up the phone, then went back to reheating the soup. The next day, Liz came home from school with a gloomy expression. She had been on rabbit care duty at school. Normally, she would go out to play on her bicycle right away.
Mom, today at school, my teacher told me.
According to Liz, her teacher had informed her that Lizzie had been in a bicycle accident the previous day and was taken to the hospital. However, the teacher didn't know any details about the extent of her injuries. A bicycle accident yesterday. William's strange phone call flashed through my mind. It couldn't be unrelated.
I said goodbye to Lizzie yesterday. It must have happened after that.
Liz recalled the previous day and started to cry.
I want to visit Lizzie in the hospital.
Since Liz insisted, I quickly got ready and headed to the hospital where Lizzie was admitted.
Liz, you came.
When we entered the hospital room, Lizzie looked much better than I had expected, and I felt relieved. Her mother, Scarlett, was sitting beside the bed.
Sophia, Liz, thank you for coming.
However, Scarlett quickly averted her gaze from me. I was so surprised when I heard she was rushed to the hospital after a bicycle accident. According to Scarlett, Lizzie's injury was just a minor fracture in her arm, and she wouldn't need to stay in the hospital for long.
I'm sorry for causing trouble for William as well.
The moment Scarlett mentioned William's name, I responded with, "What? Why did William's name come up here?" Indeed, William had called me the previous day about a strange bicycle accident involving our daughter, but he had repeatedly brushed it off as a mistake. Why did you mention his name? Is he involved in this accident? When I asked, Scarlett looked surprised.
What? Didn't you hear about Lizzie's accident from him?
I explained that I had heard about Lizzie's accident from Liz's school teacher. Scarlett's face clearly showed she was caught off guard. So, there was something behind that phone call after all. I couldn't help but be convinced. Could you tell me what happened yesterday? I asked calmly, with a smile. Scarlett hesitated, unable to answer properly.
Sophia, you know,
Ignoring the adult's situation, Lizzie began to recount the events of the accident. According to her, she indeed got into the accident right after parting ways with Liz. Lizzie had seen Scarlett and William walking hand in hand from a distance and tried to call out to them.
Hey, Lizzie, stop talking!
Scarlett hurriedly tried to interrupt Lizzie's testimony. Please continue. I want to hear more about Lizzie's story, I said, smiling. Lizzie smiled back and continued.
Sure.
Just as she was about to call out to them, she unfortunately collided with a light truck that came out of a side street. Although the truck had slowed down, Lizzie, being light, was easily thrown off along with her bicycle. Fortunately, she landed on soft soil instead of concrete and was wearing a helmet, so she wasn't seriously injured. Since Scarlett and William were far away, they didn't notice Lizzie's accident at all. After that, Scarlett parted ways with William and turned a corner, disappearing from sight. William then came towards Lizzie and finally noticed the accident.
William stayed with me at the hospital.
Lizzie recalled the incident happily. I see. That's good, I said, glancing at Scarlett, who kept her head down. What's wrong, Scarlett? You don't look well.
Nothing.
Scarlett barely managed to answer, her lips trembling slightly. I need to prepare dinner, so I'll be leaving now.
Bye, Liz. Bye, Lizzie.
Lizzie kept smiling, but Scarlett remained silent until Liz and I left the room.
Scarlett didn't look well.
She must be sleep-deprived from taking care of Lizzie, I said, gently patting Liz's head to cover up the situation. When we got home, William was already there. You're home early today.
Yeah.
It seemed that he had already been informed by Scarlett about the day's events in the hospital room. William was visibly restless, desperately trying to think of something to say. I went to visit Lizzie today.
Oh, really? How is her injury?
Oh. I never mentioned that Lizzie was hospitalized due to an injury. She could be sick, you know.
Yeah, that's right. I just had a feeling.
William was clearly agitated. Well, anyway. I reported on Lizzie's condition. But more importantly, you know something, don't you?
Well, what are you talking about?
I questioned him about the phone call from the previous day.
That was just a joke. I wanted to surprise you. But I never thought Lizzie would actually end up in the hospital on the same day. I guess I shouldn't joke about such things. Anyway, I'm going to take a bath. I was so busy yesterday that I didn't have time to bathe.
William talked nonstop and then hurriedly disappeared into the bathroom. I could hear him humming along with the sound of the shower. All right, now's my chance. I picked up William's phone from the table and opened the email folder. If my hunch was correct, I should find some clues. William frequently communicated with Scarlett, but there were no emails from her in the usual folder. Finding this odd, I checked the free email folder just in case. The folder was locked, but I remembered something Liz had told me before.
Sophia's birthday is just one day different from Grandpa's birthday.
I tried entering the number one day off from my father's birthday, and the lock was easily unlocked. There, I found a plethora of exchanges with Scarlett. Did he think he wouldn't get caught using a free email address? The emails were filled with such loving words that I couldn't help but blush while reading them. I heard the shower stop and quickly put his phone back in its place. William came out of the bathroom, humming the continuation of his tune, and checked his phone for new emails. Are you expecting an email from someone?
No. It's just work.
He quickly hid his phone behind his back, but it was already too late. He had no idea. For several days, my husband and I did not mention Lizzie's accident at all. I continued to greet William and engage in daily conversations as usual, so we might have appeared to be a normal couple on the surface. However, I never forgave William and Scarlett's relationship. In fact, I wanted to cut ties with William and leave the house immediately. The reason I maintained normalcy was for Liz's sake. Liz, despite being a child, was very perceptive. When I became certain of William and Scarlett's unusual relationship, Liz asked,
What's wrong, Mom? Are you feeling unwell?
With concern. I didn't want to burden such a kind daughter even a little. Nevertheless, I knew I had to resolve this matter someday. Determined, I called Scarlett and her husband to our house. This is the only chance, I told myself, looking in the mirror and repeatedly psyching myself up. That day, both William and Scarlett's husband, Sebastian, had the day off from work. I didn't want Liz to hear such adult conversations, but fortunately, Liz had rabbit care duty that day. According to Sebastian, Lizzie's injury had completely healed.
She should be able to leave the hospital in 2 or 3 days,
he said. That's good to hear, I replied, feeling relieved. I wanted to finish the conversation before Liz came home from school, so I got straight to the point. Scarlett, how long have you been involved with my husband? William exclaimed.
Hey, what are you talking about all of a sudden?
Scarlett added.
That's right, Sophia. There's no way William and I could be involved like that.
Both William and Scarlett tried to laugh it off. I swiftly grabbed William's phone from the corner of the table, opened the emails, and read out the exchanges with Scarlett. This is the proof. Can you explain it? William retorted.
When did you? It's extremely rude to look at someone else's phone without permission.
Scarlett added.
That's right. Even between spouses, looking at the other's phone without permission is an invasion of privacy.
They both blamed me, ignoring their own actions. So you admit the relationship? I said, and they fell silent. No matter what they said, the fact of their affair couldn't be denied. They both knew that. After a while of silence, Sebastian, who had been quiet until then, stood up and said,
There's more evidence,
scattering dozens of photos on the table from his bag.
What is this?
Scarlett hurriedly tried to collect the photos, but I managed to grab a few before she could. The photos showed William and Scarlett entering and leaving a hotel, captured secretly. The photos were all taken on different days, as indicated by their different outfits. This meant that they had met at the hotel multiple times, not just once.
Could it be that you've been following us all this time?
Scarlett glared at Sebastian with a devilish look, but Sebastian calmly denied it, saying,
I've been busy with work. There's no way I could have done that.
In fact, Sebastian had noticed their relationship earlier than I did. He had secretly hired a private investigator to look into them without Scarlett knowing. Even after their affair became undeniable, Sebastian couldn't confront them until today because the children were close friends and custody tends to favor the mother in divorce cases.
But Sophia, when you asked me to come with Scarlett today, I knew this day had finally come.
Sebastian said. He realized he could no longer overlook the affair and brought the investigation report and evidence photos from the private investigator. Unable to make excuses any longer, William and Scarlett finally admitted to their affair. They had bonded over tennis and started contacting each other even when I wasn't around. Initially, they were just parents with children, without any deeper feelings. However, over time, romantic feelings developed between them.
I can't explain it well, but I couldn't get her out of my mind.
William said.
Me too, William.
Scarlett added. Their shameless confessions made me question if they were really parents. On the day of Lizzie's accident, they were on their way back from a hotel, trying to avoid being seen by acquaintances by taking a different route. Scarlett turned the corner first and didn't notice Lizzie. William, lost in the euphoria of spending time with Scarlett, didn't notice Lizzie reaching out and calling them Mom, until it was too late. He rushed to her side, where a truck driver was already standing and an ambulance had been called. When Lizzie, in the ambulance, asked for her mom again, William, feeling sorry for her, took out his phone. In his panic, he accidentally called me instead of Scarlett. When I mentioned Liz, William realized his mistake but couldn't come up with a good excuse and abruptly ended the call, asking me to forget it. He doesn't remember why he made such a poor excuse. He immediately contacted Scarlett, and when she arrived at the hospital room, William left, fearing I might show up. Unable to think of a good explanation, he spent the night at a hotel, claiming work as the reason.
Well, now that we've been found out, there's no helping it. I've decided. I'm going to marry Scarlett.
Thank you, William. I'm so happy.
I was so astonished that I couldn't close my mouth.
Is that how you really feel?
He asked in a low voice tinged with anger.
Yes, I've made up my mind. Since our affair has been exposed, there's no need to sneak around anymore. I'm choosing to see this in a positive light.
Don't think you can get away with this. If that's how you feel, we have our own plans, I said, exchanging a glance with Sebastian. He understood my intention and nodded firmly.
That's right. I'll take this to court and fight with everything I've got. I have a friend from college who's a lawyer. I'll consult with him.
Do as you please. Our love won't change.
William defiantly pulled Scarlett close to him. I waited for Liz to come home and spent the night at a hotel. The next day, I took Liz and returned to my parents' house until the divorce was finalized. Liz was initially happy to play with her grandparents, but she became despondent when she realized she wouldn't see William. After that, William and I finalized our divorce. With the help of the lawyer Sebastian introduced, I was able to get alimony and child support from William. Around the same time, Sebastian and Scarlett also finalized their divorce, and he received alimony and child support as well. Despite being cornered, William proudly declared,
I can be with my beloved Scarlett. I'll cover all the alimony and child support.
Can't we live with Dad anymore?
Liz cried every night, missing William. I'm sorry, Liz, I said, hugging her tightly. After the divorce, I moved to a small apartment with Liz, and Scarlett moved into William's house. Although they were initially happy to be together without any worries, both William's and Scarlett's parents disapproved of their relationship. My usually mild-mannered father-in-law was so furious that he declared he was cutting ties with William. Betraying his beloved granddaughter in the worst way, It was a natural consequence. Even so, William and Scarlett lived normally for a few weeks, but rumors of their affair quickly spread throughout the town. They heard voices of contempt wherever they went, and within 3 months, they had to leave town. I heard that William felt ostracized at work due to the rumors of his affair. However, as they were already strangers to me, I didn't care about their fate. I had to put all my effort into my part-time job to raise Liz. I didn't have time to dwell on the past. Occasionally, Sebastian would visit with Lizzie to check on us.
Here's a souvenir from my recent business trip.
That's some fine coffee. Thank you so much. After the accident, Lizzie was afraid to ride a bicycle and stopped riding altogether. Still, she and Liz continued to play games together in the room as they always had.
Children are much stronger than we adults think.
I've decided. No matter what happens, I'll protect her smile,
I feel the same way.
he said, smiling brightly. Years passed, and both Liz and Lizzie grew into charming young women. And they both fell in love with their respective partners and got married.
Mom, I'm home.
On Christmas, Liz visited my apartment, holding her newborn daughter. Next to her, Lizzie was also holding her own newborn daughter.
I ran into Lizzie at the station. We didn't realize we were on the same train.
To get married and have children at almost the same time. You two are really close, I said, laughing. The babies in their arms also laughed along with me.
How did you like this story? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.